of the application cost and the fees that they are requiring you to pay that has been capped by the SBA. I don't know exactly what that is, but hopefully that will not be terribly high. And the idea, and I would hope that the local banks, including Key, is adhering to this, is that the application process be streamlined. And so hopefully that'll be the case with them as well.
Okay, question from Andrew. Hey, Andrew. Hi, I have already applied, but did not check the box for the 10K due to my understanding that you could only go for one program.
Oh, no. I don't know if you can go back in and do it again. I have not come across that yet, but don't worry. You're gonna connect with your SBA loan officer. It might not be as soon as you would have gotten it otherwise, but you will still have that opportunity when you work with your SBA loan officer to accept that.
Okay, this is from Matt. 2 questions on PPP application. How, when to calculate number of employees? Do I include guaranteed payment to partners as payroll average?
I'm not exactly sure what the question is. How they're gonna, they're gonna look at your last year's payroll, your average, monthly average for the last month. And that's what they're going to weigh against in terms of you bringing back your full-time equivalents and what is going to be ultimately forgiven. And you have until the end of June to restaff. Do you think that answers the question, Kate? Or
I think he's asking if he can pay. Do I include, is that you, Matt? Here, I'm gonna unmute you, Matt. What are you asking?
There's 2 questions there. One, I'd like to know how to calculate the number of employees for the question, whether it's full-time equivalents or if it's total employees, and at what time I calculate that, if it's average of last year or in February. My second question is, I have partners that are members of my LLC that get guaranteed payments. Do guaranteed payments to partners get included with my regular employee payroll costs, or are they considered separate?
The great questions. From my understanding, it is full-time equivalents that you'll be calculating for. And it is for last year. So you'll be taking the average for last year. The pay guarantee, that's an interesting one. I honestly don't know for sure. I know that if they're on payroll or otherwise, and that amount is above 100,000, they don't qualify. So that's one way to check them off if that is the case.
Does the 100 qualify? Would you go up to 100 and then forgive everything above it?
Yeah, everything above 100
okay.
Does not qualify. But if they're not on payroll, but they're getting paid, I would have to just defer you back to your lender, and you'd have to ask them. If I was in your position, Matt, I would run the calculations both ways, and that way you can be prepared for either.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt, too, I posted that Zoom call that we had this morning, and I'm pretty sure somebody else asked that question, and Dylan, who's a lender with Key, did answer that. So I would encourage people to watch that video from this morning.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Lots of questions. Andrew. Sorry, I'm trying to go back up. Okay. Nathan, clarifying from prior call, Dylan suggested one can combine the PPP if you already had an EIDL app in there before 3/31. That's correct.
Yes.
Yes. But you cannot, what he said is that you couldn't after 3/31. You couldn't combine them.
That's news to me. I apologize. I don't know. That might be key specific. I have not heard that one yet, but again, that one would be up to your local lender.
Okay, the PPP application asks nothing about the EIDL $10,000 grant. This is from Stephanie.
Mhm.
How does that affect the PPP? PPP application said that only 25% of the PPP can be used for non-payroll purposes.
Right, and that's kind of what I had stated, that payroll funding is really for your payroll. Those other 25% is what they kind of outlined in terms of what qualifies to be forgiven. I think we answered the question of how the $10,000 grant impacts the PPP. I know that the PPP might not be asking those questions, but you know, they're both federally backed loans, so that's, you know, that's information they will know.
Okay, this is from Mickey. How about mortgage payments? Are those part of the forgiveness or just interest?
No, from my understanding, it is rent and mortgage.
Okay, and that's for the PPP or the EIDL?
The EIDL will cover anything.
Anything. Okay.
Anything relative to your business operations,
Okay.
besides long-term debt. And so in that sense, you know, you can make your rent payments, but you can't buy down a larger note. Yeah.
Okay. This is from Brady. I am a farm, but half of my revenue comes from weddings. I am a sole proprietor. When I filled out the latest version of the EIDL application, it asked if you were a farm. I was advised by one of your people to bypass that and only use the wedding revenue part, which is a separate line item on my tax return. Is this kosher?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they are separate business entities, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing to note is, you know, any business entity can only apply once. You can't apply for either of these twice.
And if you have a different tax ID, correct?
Yes, if you have a different tax ID, that's fine.
Okay.
You can apply because you are applying for this as a business, not as an individual.
Okay. Okay, this is from Stephanie again. Can you please repeat what you said about tax credits?
Yeah, well, there are tax credits available for payroll expenses and payroll taxes, but it's our understanding, and again, I'm not a CPA. This is something that you'll want to talk to with your tax advisor, that your limit in the grant and the tax credit combined is $10,000.
Okay. So Andrew, what if I have different entities? For instance, I have rental properties owned personally. Do I apply as a sole proprietor on those as well?
Yeah, if you are operating as a sole proprietor, then you can apply for them separately because they're two different businesses.
Okay, good. Who are we applying with locally? Is that,
Well,
I'm assuming that's
yeah, I'm assuming that's PPP. With the EIDL, it's an SBA loan, and there's a link. There's only one place to apply for that, and that's online. With the PPP, it will be with your local lenders, Key or Columbia. And I do have a list of the current Oregon banks that are eligible, that are currently SBA certified, and that's the standard. It can be banks, it can also be economic development organizations and other nonprofits that do economic development lending, that are certified through the SBA or choose to become certified with the SBA after the fact. So I can put that list out there for the state of Oregon, and just keep in mind that that will be updated on an ongoing basis. I don't know if US Bank is part of that one, Stephanie, but again, just check that list. I'm betting they are.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think US Bank, Columbia, Washington Federal.
Yeah.
Tanya reached out to me this morning and told me to let the members know that they had a pre-application
Oh,
that you
great.
could fill out to get in the queue, and so does KeyBank.
Mm-hmm. And that's another good important factor is these banks are going to get inundated. And they don't necessarily have the staff to process this, and they're doing it in a very different way than they normally underwrite and approve loans. Given that it's backed by the SBA and the federal government, that helps the process significantly, but they're going to be challenged. So, you know, give them grace, be patient, get in the queue. And also keep in mind that waiting a little bit for that loan is not going to be a bad thing. As long as you're in the queue, I mean, the funding pot is limited, so there is some urgency there, but that 8 weeks that you are going to be given forgiveness for starts from the origination date. Now, if that origination date starts right now, you're not bringing all your staff on right now. Right? It's probably going to be another month or so before you start staffing back up. And so you would, it would probably be a larger pot of money that's forgiven if that 8 weeks starts from a month from now. So just keep that in mind and be patient.
Okay, it's from Ryan. For the disaster assistance for SBA loans, is that only pertaining to existing loans, or would new loans be eligible as well?
Existing loans. Yeah, and I'm assuming you mean if you're going to be applying for a new SBA 7A or 504 or micro loan. No, I believe it's February 15th. The loan had to have started before then. Don't quote me on that date, but they do need to be existing loans for them to be those payments to be made for you.
Okay, Stephanie, I'm sort of confused about the 10K grant idle. Can literally any business just get this grant and not have to pay it back?
Well, you need to be a small business, non-farming, and when you go through the app, it will state your eligibility requirements, which are extremely broad. But there is some due diligence and some self verification there in terms of that you have been impacted by the COVID virus, your business has, that you've suffered from it financially, and that these funds will be used to support your business as a result. So there's some ethics there that I think need to be observed. But yes, it is very, very broad, and there's going to be few small businesses that won't be eligible.
So basically, if you apply for the loan and you can get the $10,000 grant in, let's say, a couple weeks, you could go and use that $10,000 to pay your bills,
Yes,
your rent, your bills, and everything that's due right now.
and
That's what it's for.
That is exactly the intent. Is they know you need money now, and this is the best way to get it. They don't have the bandwidth to assess every 30 million small businesses across the country. It's simply not possible, and that's why it's just one flat amount, and which might not seem fair in terms of some businesses will apply and might not need it and get it. Some businesses need more and won't be able to get more, and it's going to be a shotgun approach to try to bridge that gap for small businesses.
So it seems to me that you would apply for the EIDL, get the $10,000 grant, pay your bills, and then apply for the PPP and pay your employees.
There you go.
I mean,
That's a
that
very
just is what seems to make sense is for all of us.
That's a very simple way to put it.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that's why it's kind of set up like it is, to do exactly that.
Okay. That's great. I think people are a little like, is this too good to be true?
Yeah, and
It's really simple, but we're
Yeah.
all making it really difficult because it
Yeah.
seems so crazy that
Well,
it's actually happening.
yeah, well, and especially as small business owners, we've had to jump through the hoops and secure every single, leverage every asset we have to get a little bit of money. And we're put under the microscope. And so this is a very different process because we have to remember this is not a normal loan. They're not evaluating this based on the return that they're going to get. That's not part of the equation. This is not about getting any type of return for the government. The local lenders, they will have security from the federal government. They're getting paid from them, not from you. So they're good. They're covered.
This is literally a stimulus package.
Yeah, yeah.
That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Kim says, has anyone on this call applied for the EIDL this week? Have you heard from them at all? I do know, Kim, we do have a member that applied for the EIDL probably a couple weeks ago. And she told me yesterday that she had gotten pre-approved and gotten a pre-approved letter yesterday that it was a 30-year loan at a 3.75% interest rate. I do not know about the $10,000 grant. Does anybody else? There's a reaction at the bottom. If you guys have heard anything different, you can click that and just raise your hand and then we can unmute you.
Yeah. And just a couple questions that popped up. The IDA loan is up to a $2 million loan. It's not just a grant. The grant is literally, they're calling it in advance just to get that money to you as quickly as possible. But you can be eligible up to $2 million in that. And Heidi, if you haven't heard from them yet and you've applied on Monday, I'm not surprised. It might be a week or so, but it should be soon.
Yeah, I think the member I know about's been a couple weeks, 2 or 3. Like maybe she applied right when it was, we were included in the Washington part.
Yeah, and that was a much slower process. It was a much more complicated application. With the application now, it's so very simple. It's concerning to people. They're like, it can't be this simple. They have to need more information. Well, they don't. But because of that, they can process it quickly.
Okay, Tiffany, my business is a 4-person partnership where all 4 of us work full-time in the business with no other jobs. We just switched to a SCORP this year and are now considered employees. Would paying ourselves with PPP money be okay since we are employees now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Karen, to clarify, if 10K will be all we need for operating expenses for now, we can apply for the EIDL, yet refuse the loan and still receive the 10K grant?
Yes.
Yes. Great. Okay, Paul, for the PPP, does that include employer Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance, and worker benefit fund taxes?
So here's, I'll go through this as what counts as payroll. And just bear in mind that there may be subtle nuances that vary from this, but this is the information that we have. And so this is what we're going off of. The full list from the U.S. Department of Treasury is salary, wages, commissions or tips capped at $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee. Employee benefits, including costs for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave, allowances for separation or dismissal, payments required for the provision of group health care benefits, including insurance premiums, and payments of any retirement benefits, state and local taxes assessed on compensation, and for a sole proprietor or independent contractor, wages, commissions, income, or net earnings from self-employment capped at $100,000 on an annual basis for each employee.
Okay. Hang on, I'm going back up to the top. I lost my spot. Sorry. Okay. I have a couple, let's see. Has MCEDD concluded their plan for those of us who hold loans with MCEDD? MCEDD? Are you there?
Yes.
Will you say the question again? Oh, Israel's here too.
Has MCEDD concluded their plan for those of us who hold loans with MCEDD?
Yeah. So it depends on which, if you're an OIB or MCEDD client, but yes, there is a 2-month deferral available for current loan clients of MCEDD and a 3-month loan payment deferral for OIB. Then there'll be an option to have interest-only payments for those that would like that. That is what has been approved at this time. We're looking further into further details as to a kind of case by case as current clients, and then waiting to see if there's also any other aid that comes down to additional funds or other things, so where we could potentially do better than that or extend deferred payments longer than that period.
Okay, thanks, Israel. Next question. Are 7A loans going to be difficult to access now? For example, we had been considering a building purchase, which would dramatically increase our overhead, but we're going to seek a 7A to do it.
That's a good question. I am going to post the app for the idle for everybody right now. So that's one thing I'm very certain of, is that it will be more difficult just in their capacity, their bandwidth to process loans. It's quite likely that you will be given a lower priority and less urgency in processing that. But in terms of funds available, there should be no issue. Those funds will still be available to you to apply for those loans through the normal channels and through the existing 7A. They're not taking funds out of the existing pot of money for those small business loans to cover these. It's a whole new magical pile of funds that are being used for these stimulus packages.
Okay, so if the idle gets combined with the PPP, then can you mostly only use the 10 from the idle for payroll, or are you still restricted with that?
Yes, you'll be restricted to that. They need to be used for separate things. I mean, they're not gonna come after you if you use the $10,000 for your payroll now before you apply for the PPP. But if you're holding them concurrently, they need to be used for separate things. The PPP funding specifically for your payroll, and up to 25% for those additional costs, your rent and lease and other utility bills, and the grant and the idle funding for other operational costs.
Okay. Would really appreciate the list of local SBA approved lenders, which I think we posted. Let's see, there's from Paul. It says full-time under 100,000. I guess he's just answering a question someone had. Nathan, quick recap question. If someone takes a $50,000 EIDL loan and at the beginning of the repayment period, 4 years out, it turns out I only use 10K of the 50K, can I pay off the 0K balance and the going forward loan to be repaid would just be the 10K?
Yes, I mean, you can pay off your entire, there's no pre-payoff penalty. And so that's why the idle is a really great loan. It's really flexible in that respect. And you can get that 4 years of deferment available. The one thing that, and that is both for principal and interest deferred. So you're not going to, at the end of that 4 years, pay off the principal that you never used and then have an interest payment. So if you never use that money and 4 years later you want to pay it all off, then you can pay it all off and you get the $10,000.
Okay.
And the PPP has the same benefit in that you can pay it off sooner, but it does come due in 2 years.
Okay. For PPP, what if average for 12 months is 250 full-time employees, but the 8-week period that you need is normally 125 full-time employees due to seasonal needs? Does this disqualify forgiveness?
I mean, it doesn't disqualify, but in terms of the amount that you will be forgiven, it will be calculated in that 8-week period starting after your origination date. And that might be less than what you would see normally based on seasonality. So there is some provisions based on seasonality. And I apologize, I don't have those off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was in that Treasury document though.
Yeah, it is. And I just haven't gotten it.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's specifically in that. If you go to, what is it, UStreasury.gov?
Yeah, that loan I posted.
Yeah, there's specific language about the seasonal employee.
Yeah. So they are making some compensation for that. To be honest, I don't know how those calculations will work out.
Okay, I am Jerry. We have Hewsome Highlands B&B. We have lost 9 big bookings to the tune of $3,600 and 2 retreats. Also, a couple of weddings are wanting to cancel. We only have Carol and I as staff. Are we eligible? Yes.
Yeah. I did pull up some information that I do have on seasonality. And that they're looking at the average number of full-time employees per month from February 19th or February 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. That's the one provision I see right now for the seasonality.
Okay, let's see. With the switch from partnership to Scorp, we have a new EIN this year from last year. Would I explain this on application and provide the old EIN as well?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You'd have no, I don't think there's, at least with the EIDL, there's no place to explain that. The loan is very simplified. But if that old EIN is no longer in use, then I don't think you can use that. You would need to use your current one. That would be my advice and understanding as it is now, because if it doesn't exist and it's not applicable, then I don't know, but I could be wrong there.
Tiffany, would you like to talk?
Yeah, no, well, yeah. So how would they look at my history or verify it, or, you know what I mean? Because we've been in business since 2017 and just switched to this S-Corp on, our accountant suggested it, so.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still be eligible.
Okay.
So that, I don't think that'll be a problem. And because you're still the same entity, I'm assuming, for the most part.
Nothing changed, but we're now an S-Corp instead of like nothing
right.
else.
Yeah. So you would use your most current EIN, and then when it comes to your income, you would just use the same income
from last year. And,
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Brady, he's not not a separate tax ID for the farm and weddings. I'm a farm hosting weddings and have revenue for both. Because I guess agriculture is not included in the EIDL, correct?
No, it's not.
So does that mean he can't apply?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Sorry, Brady. Is he eligible for the PPP?
As far as, yes, there's no provisions that I have seen yet that do not allow farms.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how helpful that is to you because it's payroll, but.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. If I have employees that have claimed partial unemployment for loss of hours, will the PPP loan cover the partial wage I am paying? Or do I have to have them come off of the partial unemployment and pay them their average wage?
No, I don't believe you do have to have them come off. No, that should not be a problem.
I thought you had to bring everyone back at their regular wage
Oh, yes,
within 30 days.
that's not the question I heard.
Okay, maybe I misinterpreted it.
But yes, I mean, you are right. If that is the question, yes, you by the end of June, you have to bring all of your employees back to full-time equivalent average of last year and the same salary, or 75% of the same salary. Anything less than that will be deducted.
And I think too, what everybody needs to understand is that the PPP is to keep people employed.
Yep.
And not on unemployment.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's if you have to lay someone off now, that's fine. If that's what you need to do to make your business survive, that's not going to count against you. Because again, they're looking at last year's monthly average in terms of what you're eligible for. And you're not going to be calculating the forgiveness part until after the loan origination. And that might be a little while from now. So if it's a smart thing to do for your business, then that's what you need to do. And they have resources. You know, they can get unemployment. There's the work share program. There's a number of different options to help them as well.
Okay, my bank told me that my existing SBA loan payments can only be deferred for 90 days. Is it true?
I'm pretty sure it is 6 months. I will reconfirm that, but that's my understanding is it's 6 months.
Do you have to take a loan to get the grant money? No.
And even like I said, even if you were determined uneligible for whatever reason, after you've applied, you can still keep that money when they disperse it.
Okay, I have a few employees that quit before April 1st, so my payroll will be down. Will the PPP loan be docked for having less payroll because I am down on an average of payroll for the year?
Well, the amount that you're eligible for will be less, yes. But again, it's looking at the whole year. But yeah, you have to take the average of last year. And if you had less employees as of April last year, then that will be what they're going to quantify.
Yeah, there's a couple businesses that have really ramped up this year, in the first quarter, like added like 5 or 6 employees. But so last year, which is what the revenue, your payroll will be calculated off of, that's what they're going to go off of, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is the EIDL loan only $10,000?
Well, the grant, or what they're calling in advance, is $10,000, but the loan is capped at $2 million.
Okay. Okay, that was Heidi. Can these loans be applied to property taxes?
The idle loan can if it's a business tax. Yes. The PPP cannot.
Okay. Is the EIDL grant only $10K, or can one apply for less?
It's the first time I've heard that. I don't know why anybody would want less. It doesn't make sense to me, because it's free money. But you might be able to, because I don't think you are even having a conversation with your SBA loan officer before you get that funds. I think it's a yes or a no box, and
You just get
or
it.
you don't. If you want to give it back to the federal government once you've gotten it, you can write a check to the U.S. Department of Treasury.
I'm sure they'll take it. Thank you. I was just curious. I received confirmations, but have not heard anything about. Okay, that Kim was just asking about the loan. If anybody had heard back.
Yeah.
Let's see. Myself and my 3 employees have applied for unemployment, first time in my life, but only one of us has heard anything back.
Yeah, that's not my area of expertise. I'm sure Heather or others with workforce might be able to support you there. I'm surprised because from what I understand, they've been very, very responsive despite the unprecedented amount of people applying. And just like the SBA, they've streamlined their processes to make it simple, to cover more people, and to do it online. So that would be surprising. You might want to check in with them and reapply if necessary.
Will a lease that starts on April 1st be covered under qualifying expenses in the PPP loan?
Yes. Well, let me clarify. I mean, it should be. Well, yeah, it would be because it would, again, it's all those expenses that are 8 weeks after the origination date. And I mean, even if your origination date was now, I'm assuming you're talking April 2020. If that's the case, then yes, it would. If it was April 2019, then no, it wouldn't be.
Hey, Greg, you had posted a link, covid19relief.sba.gov. Is that the app link?
Yes.
Okay. So whoever asked that question, that is the EIDL link, and the app for the PPP. There is an app on Treasury, on the treasury.gov, but you may want to check with your lender on what application they're going to require.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That could vary depending on who you're applying with and what they decide they want to leverage. I will, let's see, I will post that link again for the Department of Treasury. And that is where you can get the overview on the PPP as well as the existing application that may or may not be used. And what would be useful with that application is to download it, look it over, and make sure that you have all the information that it's requesting, because even if they're not using that application, I can guarantee you they're going to be asking for all that same information.
Yeah, that's what Dylan said too. He said you definitely use that as something to get your ducks in a row to apply.
Yeah.
Okay, I have applied for Oregon's work share program. Will this create any conflict?
No.
Okay. Will employees who are recently drawing unemployment, do they have to prove that they've discontinued their unemployment? How will we know in order to hire them back?
That is a really great question, and I didn't really cover that. So when you are reporting for applying and reporting for the PPP, you will have to provide payroll documentation that shows what your payroll was, and you'll have to provide it again when you are quantifying your forgiveness amount. And so you will have to have verified payroll documentation. Absolutely. It's a great question.
So if you do have someone on unemployment and you ask them to come back,
Mm-hmm.
and they come back,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would need to let unemployment know that they are discontinuing unemployment, that they're going back to their job.
Well, yes. I mean, you would need to do that. That's the law under, whether you receive unemployment or not.
Right.
And if you don't do that, you will be responsible for paying back the unemployment you're getting while you're working.
The
Right.
individual. Yeah, the individual, it behooves them to do the right thing.
Yeah, because
That's on them.
yeah,
That's on
well,
them.
exactly. That's on them, and that will catch up to them. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of your reporting, you just need to be reporting your payroll.
Yeah. They don't need to worry about what the individual does. They just need to worry about that they brought them back on and they're paying them.
Right.
Okay. On the forms, it asks about in our number of employees as a one-man operation. Do I write 1 or 0?
Well, if, you would write 1 if you're, it's 1.
Yep.
You're getting paid. And just like you can apply as a contractor or sole proprietor, what you make counts, as long as it's not over $100,000. If it's over $100,000, you can only qualify for what's under $100,000 if you are a contractor, sole proprietor, self-employed.
If you submitted the EIDL app already, will a local lender contact you or do you contact them? I just called US Bank to get on their list for the PPP. Do I need to also contact them about the EIDL?
The local lenders have nothing to do with the EIDL. They're completely separate. The SBA, you apply to them and they administer that entirely. So all those funds come directly from the SBA. So they will not contact you regarding local lenders or anything to that effect. If you've already applied for the EIDL, great. If it was an application before Monday, make sure that you're contacting them about the $10,000 grant, because that's not going to just be assumed. But you will need to reach out to a local lender independently for the PPP.
Okay. Can previous year's tax documents be used when applying if most recent taxes are not complete yet?
Last year's taxes are fine.
Yeah. Let's see. If we offer someone their job back and they refuse, how do we prove that the offer was made? We could potentially have several who would not come back. So how do we keep them from getting, penalized?
You hire new employees. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you can't say I made the offer and have that count. You need to hire new people.
So you need to fill those roles to qualify or not be responsible for the money that was given to you that you don't use.
Yeah, well, I mean, they won't give it to you because that amount won't be on your payroll to deduct. So you just won't qualify for that forgiveness. So if you want that full forgiveness as much as you can get, you need to hire someone and they need to be paid at least 75% of whatever that other person was getting paid.
Okay. All right, that seems to be the last question.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Greg, it's been awesome. I hope that you guys got, oh wait, Kate, there's one more question. Can you hire people with no work coming in?
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's a very smart business move, but you certainly can.
I mean, I would think that,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's, if that's what you need to support your business, then absolutely. And that's, not gonna, impact you in terms of what you're gonna qualify for. Again, you'll need to hire everybody back to get the full amount. But if you hire them back sooner than later, then the only thing that's impacting is your bottom line.
okay, when people have left to bring up employee numbers, I think that goes to the last one. Can you hire people with no work coming in just to fill the gap?
Yeah, absolutely you can.
Oh, when people have left to bring up employee numbers. Yes, that's what you're saying. You need to hire people.
Yeah, and that's the intent.
Yeah.
If it doesn't need to be the same person,
Yeah.
you can really bring anybody on that to fill that role.
Right. You'll be paying them and they will not be working right now. But hopefully when everything blows over, you'll have them hired and they'll work when there's work, right?
Yeah, but you don't
That's
have
the goal.
Yes and no. I mean, you don't have to do that right away, because remember that origination, the 8 weeks that you are going to be quantified for the forgiveness amount doesn't start until the origination date. So if that's part of your strategy in maximizing the amount that's going to be forgiven, then yes, you can hire people to sit on their butt at home. That's fine. But again, you as a business owner, worried about your bottom line, you don't need to do that until that loan has originated.
Okay. Yeah. So somebody said, or offer more hours to those part-time who are already on payroll to fill the gaps. So do I apply for the EIDL loan on the SBA website, but then have to work with a local bank to get the grant?
No, the EIDL will come straight from the SBA. When you apply, they'll ask you for your bank account information and it will go in as a direct deposit.
Right. And then the local bank is the PPP, which is the separate.
Right.
Okay. I think now we're really done.
Okay.
Last chance. Thank you, Greg. You have been very, very helpful. Thank you so much. I know you guys at the SBDC and the SBA are working so hard, and we appreciate you and everything you're doing. And just, we just want to be a good partner to you and let us know how we can help you. And thank you to all the members and the non-members that are here, and we're thinking about you. And that, just want you to know, and Greg knows this and Jessica knows this, is that there are so many people that are working around the clock to make sure that you guys make it through this. So just know that everyone's working really, really hard to make sure that you guys get taken care of. And so I know it's hard to believe that there's all this free money, but apply for it, take it and use it and try to get back up on your feet.
Yeah. And I did just post a link to the SBDC Columbia Gorge site to register for counseling. If you have not registered in the past with the SBDC and you do need support, you can go to that link and register on our site, and we can schedule some time to support you.
And thank you so much to Jessica and Israel from MCEDD for being here and just talking us through what you guys do. And they're such a great partner. And then, hey, real quick, Greg, so if you want to just register for counseling, because I have a lot of members that are like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Can they just, how quickly can they get in touch? Will a counselor actually get in touch with them? I think a lot of people feel like there's no use, that everyone's too busy.
Well, we still have capacity. We have an amazing team, and they're very, very responsive. We have been able to get back to people the same day. And if it's a quick conversation about similar to what we talked about now, you'll get a reply very quickly. But also know that you can talk to us about your business needs in general, about business planning, about strategy, about whatever your business needs. And that's really what we do. So please leverage us as a resource, not only now, but in the future as you need it moving forward.
So they just go to your website.
We also do offer classes. A lot of them will be going virtual, and hopefully we'll be in person soon as well, as soon as we're able. So people can also take our classes in business technology, virtual workforce, social media and communications, business planning, QuickBooks, etc.
So when they go to your website and fill out the contact us, that's the only way. I mean, if they fill that out, then it gets in your queue, and then you'll get back to people within a few days.
No, usually within the same day, usually.
Great.
But,
okay.
But give us a little attitude if we're a little behind that, but we're pretty responsive.
Right. So, I mean, it's not a bad decision to just reach out and get an appointment, you guys, if you have questions and need some personal assistance.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks. We're really going to let you go now, Greg.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.